Hello and welcome to the Wrestling Headlines WWE NXT review. My name is Matt Maher, aka Imp, and we're live here on YouTube and we'll be live in podcast form later. Hopefully the lag's not too bad and he didn't just see me and James just looking out into nothing and then suddenly the image comes on. Hopefully I timed it right. Fingers crossed. But yes. Anyway, yes, I'm once again joined by One Nation Radio from Social Suplex. It's Mr. James Boyd. Welcome back, James Boyd, to a hell of an NXT for you to return to.
Yeah, so it was an okay show. Probably, I'd say that back. It was mid, but, at least we get to talk about it.
Yeah. So whenever we've done this before, and the NXT's been a bit, this is the best part. Getting to talk about it, getting to explain why things were a bit. However, we're going to start in Happy Lands. We're going to talk about the Adam Cole Undisputed Era. That's me putting it in the hippest way possible. Let's go to Happy Lands, James. Let's talk about the Undisputed Era. So it's, as I've titled it in my notes, Adam Cole's Why Sting? Why? As he comes out to cut his... I wanted to call that... That's what I want to give this title for this episode for tonight, before suddenly remembering, oh no, AEW, I can't use that now unless we're talking about AEW. Oh, damn it, Sting! You had to go to AEW. People get confused. People got confused by my Bobbily Lashes nickname on Sunday, because that's what I call Bobby Lashley often on the review. And people in this were just commenting whilst I was live, like, Bobbily Lashes, who's that? It's like, come on, surely you can get it. Come on, it's not that difficult. But yeah, Adam Cole with his, well, why is Adam Cole like this? What's his reasoning for for turning on the Undisputed Era, attacking Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor? His kerfuffles of last week. And he comes out to explain himself, and he cuts a promo as if he's had second thoughts about his actions. Or is he full on goading in to punch a man in the dick? Which one was it? Which one was it? Like, all apologetic to Kyle before Roddy came out, not buying a single second of it. Like, again, one of my kind of praises from last week was the fact that they didn't do what we've seen on the main roster, where the two feuding or the two interacting. No, last week we saw Finn Balor's pissed at and Roddy wants answers and Pete does like, well, I can batter him then, because they're distracted. It's like, yes, the whole world still happens, regardless of it. So that was a big praise that I had last week. And they've kind of continued it a bit with, even though Adam Cole's talking to Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong still wants answers. Finn Balor still wants to batter him. So it still continues. The wheels keep spinning. And whether Cole was honest or not, Strong doesn't know if he'll be able to stop Kyle O'Reilly from doing what he's going to do to Cole. When Finn Balor then ran down, as I was just saying, reminding us he's just as amped to attack Adam as the others. But with Strong there, he wasn't particularly able to have his Cole kerfuffle. And Roddy had the chance to kick Cole's lights out, but instead listened to Adam's apologies. And BAM! Right in the nads. Cole suckered him in, cementing the end of the era in true WWE style, a dick punch. So, James, how are you taking the Undisputed Era stuff so far? I guess including tonight.
How do I put into words how I feel about... I'm of two minds. I'm going to give you my first mind. My first mind was, this was very well executed. Adam Cole has always, as long as I've ever seen him, has been a great promo. This continues that trend. Great promo, right emotion, seemed contrite, seemed like he was generally, disgusted with himself and, regretful, right? Roddy comes out. Roddy is probably the best emotion I've ever seen out of Roddy on a promo. Like, he's not necessarily a promo guy. He can carry, what he needs to carry to get, his program moved along, but he's not a great promo guy. I thought you actually felt that he was genuinely upset with Adam Cole. And I like the interaction of, Roddy could stop Balor, but all it took from Balor was a simple shove, because after all, Roddy is pissed off at Adam Cole. And all the fighting and, I'll let you get your licks in, but I'm not going to let you kill him. That sort of thing. Like, we've seen that. We that's understandable. That's relatable. And dynamics when you're also pissed off at somebody that deserves an ass whooping, or something bad happened to them. I get that. And then I also like the part where he shoves him down. Adam Cole's frightened and scared of Roddy, because Roddy would in a shoot and really whoop his ass. And then the whole part where I'm furious at you, but I'm mad and you're frightened and all of that stuff. And And Roddy's like, look, man, we can try to save this. You have screwed this up royally for all of us, but there's still a path back. And once he screws him, it was like, yeah, okay, I get it. But the thing for me was, and here comes my second mind. Once he hits with the low blow, I was like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Yeah. Like, that's just, not for a second did you fool me. You did an excellent job doing all this. If you were someone to believe and buy into what was going on, I can 100% see it. I wouldn't dare say that somebody isn't paying attention if they did it, because it was so well done. The problem is, Adam Cole has been in NXT since the summer 2016. It is now the spring of 2021, or the winter 2021, if you want to. Aside from like 4 months out of that entire time, he's been an asshole. I'm sorry, demonetized, my bad. He's been a jerk.
I've already said penis. It's gone. It's already gone. Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. He's been the worst of the worst. Aside from Tommaso Ciampa, the most despicable person in NXT for almost 5 years. So it's like, yeah, he just screwed over his friend, and then he attacked him after that, and put him in the hospital. Of course, he's going to screw over Roddy Strong. This didn't sway me. It was well done, but I didn't fall for a second. So that's where I'm on it. It's like, well done, expertly done, well, all that stuff. Great emotion, all that. Not buying it, but I wasn't going to buy it at all.
Yeah. I feel like the thing that helps that is the fact that Roderick Strong didn't buy it either at the start.
Right.
And it was afterwards that he kind of got tricked into him. Like, right at the end, it seemed to all build that Roderick Strong is with us. We're not buying it. We know Adam Cole. But then Roderick Strong starts to buy it at the end. And I don't know if that was their attempt of, no, we can get them, though. We can get them. Kind of proof that, no, they got... When I get them, I mean that they could kind of get us on that side as well of, oh, Cole might be being a bit genuine here. But
I get it. I get from me, my perspective was, or the way I interpreted it was, Roddy is similar to like their brothers, like, right? Like, you have disagreements with your brothers. Sometimes brothers fight, but they'll be damned if they let some outsider harm them, that sort of thing. And then once it turned into the super kick happened on Finn Balor on the floor, and then like once it was time, Roddy got his answer. He got his, I guess for lack of a better word, his pound of flesh with the punch or the whatever shove or forearm he gave him, put him to the ground, and then then after that it gets to this thing where like what have we the Triple H Shawn Michaels melodramatic what have we become type thing.
Yeah.
Like it was it's like what have we become. It's like it's not too late, we can fix this. There's some of that when you look at like the Usos a couple months ago with Roman. It was like or he's like, come on man, this is John. This is
oh yeah, it's
or Josh. I thought, this is Josh. This is Josh.
Or Seth versus the Fiend. Like, Colby, no, don't do it, Colby. That's that's a bad example. Yeah,
it is some of the worst when they do that.
Yeah, trying to sell the seriousness of it. Oh, I just feel, yeah. I hope, please don't go that way. Like, it'll just be, no, it's not that level. Please don't do it. James putting a horrible idea in there. Like, no. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you that I've been relatively enjoying it so far. I like how they're fleshing it out. I think taking out Kyle O'Reilly was a genius move, because now you get to flesh out Adam Cole's side, and you don't have to rush it either. Because that was one of my critiques. At the end of the year for NXT, I wasn't massively high. And I was just talking about how it felt like it gone very main roster with it. Seeing your feuds, you got to see them face off like 3 times. And by the end of it, you don't want to see it anymore type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was just a bit sad that had been the case. But this year, just doing this has shown me that they are seemingly making more adjustments to be kind of bring back some of that other NXT stuff and less main roster kind of influences. In the fact of, you've got a big rivalry in this Undisputed Era split, and the way to build up Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly is to take one of them out. You don't do that on the main roster, because they're going to be on TV, you've got to have them all like doing this stuff. But here, no, you take him out. You do a suplex to the steel steps. He's gone. He's not there next week. And I really like that. I hope, and I'd even have him not there next week either. Continue to build Adam Cole. And just wait.
I think though, I'm sorry, wasn't the word that it was 4 to 6 weeks, right?
Oh, is that what they said? All right. Well, that's perfect then.
I believe they said 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's absolutely perfect. You can have him face Roddy. I guess build up to that. Cole Roddy, make that feel important, and then maybe even Balor first as well. Maybe even that, like Kyle O'Reilly is the ultimate one at the end. You could maybe just keep holding that one off. Do you make Adam Cole champion to make it a title match as well? He doesn't need it because it's a full-on grudge. But if you're, I don't know, because then they can paint Cole and Balor as like a big story they've been doing on purpose since summer of last year with that Iron Man, and then it was Cole versus Finn Balor. You can maybe pretend you're doing a long-term story there, I guess. Yeah.
Right, keyword pretend.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like they'd done enough, because I wasn't one of those people who was critiquing the turn as out of nowhere, because one of the things I'd been saying was in the build to this specific takeover, because that's where, for me, when someone does a look, but that look was like 4 or 5 months ago, and they go, oh, they did this look 4 or 5 months ago, they were hinting towards this, like the MVP thing, if that went viral, where MVP was like, Drew, when you lose the title, it's going to be on my hands, and I'm immediately like, wait, didn't he say that in the builds to Drew versus Bobby back in the summer? Like, that wasn't long-term storytelling. Yeah, that was...
No, and when people do that, you're just like, didn't Randy Orton beat him at Hell in a Cell for the title? It had nothing to do with MVP or the Hurt Business or Bobby Lashley. I'm with you.
Yeah. But yeah, so with this one with Adam Cole, the thing that I quite liked was when it was building up to Balor versus it was a Balor taking on Pete Dunne and that lot, and he went to Kyle O'Reilly. One of the details that I really liked, because it was subtle, was the fact that when Finn Balor went into the Undisputed Era locker room and he picked Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole had a face on him. Like, someone is coming into the Undisputed Era locker room and they're not going for Cole, and Cole had a look on him. Nothing else became of it. When Balor looks at him, he kind of feigned respect, like, yeah, I'm down with this. But when that wasn't happening, he was talking directly to Kyle. You could see it all over Cole's face. So when Cole turns, they've done little things like that. It's not out of nowhere. It's not like we have, like, again, some of the criticism was, they've done absolutely zero build to it. And I'm like, actually, they've done that subtle thing that we complain they never do.
See, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because that look at the time when it happened, I didn't think of it in that way. I thought of it as he just doesn't like Finn Balor.
Right.
So then, once, you're probably right. My point is just, I never thought of it. I never thought of it in that way. But once you get to the part where, like, he does, beat him up at the end of Vengeance Day, like, because he was staring darts into the dude, right? Like, I saw that the whole time. Now, like, the thing for me was, like, when he took out O'Reilly, that's when I was like, wait, what? And then, I thought we were going to get some story of, like, I didn't have the title. I want the title back. I don't care who's in my way, whatever. Maybe we still eventually do get that, but, like, that was good enough. Like, he was staring darts at the dude the whole time for months, or for a month or whatever else. And he did mention that, like, Kyle kept getting shots at the title and kept squandering it, and I didn't appreciate it. So, like, it was playing his mind, or at least playing his mind when he was laying this out to make it believable that, the sucker in Roddy. So, like, I'm like, all of this works for me. It's just like, but functionally, like, Adam Cole being shot. Adam Cole ain't shit. Is like, nah, he hasn't been shit for like 90% of his run in NXT.
Yeah. For me, it was like kind of just semi-recently, but that was NXT as a whole. So I don't really put it all on. Yes, my interest with Cole kind of dipped at the same time my interest with NXT kind of dipped. So it's not really on him as a character, really. It's like everything else around him as well. And this praise is coming from people. Obviously, I've been called a Tony Khan shill. So I'm obviously... I think it was when I was kind of complaining about War Games. It was like, here's another columnist who was paid off by Tony Khan with the shill. I was like, yeah, it happened. That's the one thing that Rich is missing out on and not writing missing headlines anymore. He's not getting called an AEW shill. You give praise for one, you're a shill for the other. It's competition time. It's the one. It's the most predictable outcome when a competition was announced. You knew it was coming because it already happened with WWE and New Japan. But as soon it was announced, like you knew from day one, this is going to go the exact same route as every other entertainment world, be it video games, comics, movies, what have you. So yeah,
I remember a podcast review that we had maybe a couple years ago, where for One Nation Radio, where the person complained about me for saying that I was a WWE shill or a mark or something like that, and I was like.
Really? Like who?
I don't know what you've been listening to, bro. I thought I was getting trolled. I was like, wait, what?
I've realised I have to be very careful with my titles because the amount of people who would jump in with a massive opinion of just the title, not even if it's this, they won't listen to it. They'll immediately kind of comment, or if I write a 2,000 word column, they just jump straight into the comments without us reading a single word. So one of our new writers, Andrew Aldisi, who I'm going to sing the praise of, he's putting out amazing work right now. He's taken a real nice little tactic of putting out the title, which is commentable enough, but in the column, kind of just putting in enough in there so that it's really easy for everybody to find and mock the guy who's not read the column. So everyone can kind of...
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like. It was a nice little twist. I like doing that. Yeah, but anyway, positives on the Undisputed Era stuff. The major storyline in NXT, at least, is really drawing us in. It's really entertaining. I'm really digging it, and nothing but praise. And it's great to finish NXT on that feeling, then watch AEW, which is just enjoyable from start to finish, and be nothing but positive on that as well. Positive on the Wednesday night wrestling. It's great for both nights as well. I've been positive on both for a while. I thought NXT was just because they were holding tournaments and Imp loves tournaments. So I thought, maybe when they die off I might fall off again. No. Still, I feel like NXT, we've turned a corner. They weren't doing great at the end of 2020. But I feel like, as in they're stabilised. They're still,
that's true. That's true.
They're still having an identity crisis, but I feel like they're on a road to figuring it out. And maybe NXT Evolve is the answer. I'll never watch it, but maybe. Maybe that's the answer to make NXT a bit better, because you have one that is definitely developmental, and then this one is a bit more of a distinguished in between. Kind of like it looks like what AEW Dark is going to become, because that's another show that definitely needed curating and figuring out. And hide the Big Show. All of that was a mental day yesterday.
That was it was a bunch of people. It's like people are happy and people are mad, but it's like I don't really know if like y'all actually really care that much, or it's just like he just went somewhere else that he hasn't been for 20 years, and now it's like y'all don't really. It was weird. It was like people that a lot of AEW fans, obviously, and I'm one of them. Back during the 2015 Rumble was asked for that man to please retire, right? When him and Kane were throwing out Dolph Ziggler and Dean Ambrose in that one, we all were like, we've had enough of this dude, get him the fuck off screen. And then, he's going to be a commentator here. We all assume that it's inevitable he's going to have a match once or twice in AEW, which I'm dreading, but whatever. Especially with Shaq.
I was going to say, immediately everyone jumped on Shaq.
Yeah, so people are the second he's in AEW, you have WWE fans I know AEW fans are out here talking about the hoopla or acting like there's some big deal when a lot of y'all are basically ex WWE fans that hated Big Show 5 years ago or in the meantime, between time. It is like y'all got a point. But the thing for me is I don't really see that many people that are like, oh, this is really cool as far as having Big Show to do matches. Like Big Show's always been a good promo for a long ass time, and him doing this is as commentator is why not? As opposed now as far as once he starts getting in the ring, then all bets are off. Because if this stinks, I'm not the person that's it's okay. Big Show at a point in time was a good worker or whatever else. We're going past that point. I want to say, was it 2 years ago when he could barely get up on his own, even after losing the weight? He's not a person that should be wrestling anymore, really. So if that match comes out and it's a sad match, then it's a sad match. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Here the phrase kind of thrown about a bit, but it is important where there's in shape, which I would say Big Show is. He's done a fantastic job to get in shape. Good for him. He's going to live longer. Good stuff. But also there's wrestling shape, and they're not the same thing. And I think that's the person I heard talk about what that was The Rock, and I can't remember what he's doing it for, but he was just saying, because he was saying that he's in shape, but he's not in wrestling shape, and he felt it quickly. Yeah. So it's
when he tore he tore something in his core back.
Oh, he did.
The second John Cena match, and I think that's when he brought that up. I actually remember that. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, I've got a memory. I'm happy when I remember things. My memory's awful.
Yeah, it had to delay I think that Hercules movie he was doing back then, and that's ever since then he's never been able to get clearance to wrestle or whatever.
Yeah. Also, Murray with an amazing comment in the chat of saying that NXT Evolve is going to be a Make-A-Wish AEW Dark. Just so yeah. But also the comment I saw in terms of Big Show. We'll get back on topic. It's related enough. It's Wednesday Night Wrestling. This is on topic for me and James. Because it's fine. Yeah. I was going to mention how my hair is currently stuck up, but I've got no product in it. That's because I was cleaning up a bathroom where it's covered in tile dust, as in tiles had been sawed and put into place. There was just dust everywhere. I had to clean it up. Dust then flows into the air everywhere, and I've tried washing it out, but it's like I've put product in my hair to keep it upright. When I haven't, it's just tile dust and water. It's the working man's gel or wax. I'll say it like that. Yeah. But yeah, the only thing.
Gel, got it.
So the thing I've seen with Big Show, the comment I kept seeing was yet again, it's also when AEW bring in this older guy, it's perfectly fine. And I was like,
oh god.
So for me, the comment is the moment Big Show is challenging for the AEW Championship with a chance he might actually win, then it's a problem. It's just, until that point, that you're as a commentator on their second developmental show, what's the harm? I really don't. Sting as well. The moment Sting is beating Kenny Omega to go into the AEW's biggest show as champion because he was a big draw back in the day, then it's a problem. Where he is now, elevating 4 or 5 other people, I don't get what's wrong with that. He's clearly aiding and elevating others around him. In the middle of the card as well. He's not main event.
Especially or another one is all right, well, they don't have 12 pay-per-views, they have 4. When are we going to see the card where you look up and down and more than half the matches are featuring some dude that was hot 20 years ago?
Yeah, it's a major
that happened at WrestleMania 34.
Goldberg Lesnar as well. Well, let's Goldberg Lesnar and then Goldberg Lesnar again.
I meant 33. I meant 33 actually. You look Shane McMahon and you see Triple H and you see Brock and Goldberg. It's you see Undertaker in the main event, in that sad match. It's and then Undertaker's my second favorite wrestler all the time, and I'm just yeah, man, that shit was sad.
Well, that's why I was trying to. It was after the Royal Rumble this year. I was feeling a little bit it's weird where I'm happy for Edge. In real life, the story is fantastic. In the WWE world, this generation has not had two guys of this generation facing each other in the main event WrestleMania. The women have had that. They had Charlotte, Becky and Rousey. But the men, they've not had a match of this generation at WrestleMania. There hasn't been one. The closest, I guess, is Bryan versus Kofi, or Bryan at WrestleMania 30. But that's in the middle of the card with Bryan Kofi. That wasn't main event. And I can't think of any other match that was top tier main event.
I mean, WrestleMania 34, the opener was the triple threat match between Miz, Balor, and Seth. I mean, that might be high on the list for one of those.
Yeah, trying to think, because main event wise, it's always been against someone like Lesnar, or been against Goldberg, or Undertaker, or Triple H, or I guess Batista and Orton for Daniel Bryan. But Orton, I feel like Orton was still a guy of the generation, but Batista, obviously, he was hyping Guardians. But
and that was 6 years ago, so it's a little. Yeah,
it's just outside the window. Yeah. So there hasn't.
It's a weird thing. It is.
Yeah. So I had that weird feeling of I'm really happy for Edge. It's a fantastic story. I'm assuming the match will be great. I'm assuming the build will be great, whoever he chooses. I'm really into their Roman Reigns and Edge build. They're doing it really well so far, and But the issue is I still want that match of this generation. It's like, I'd like them to have one. Like, you don't have. Yes, WrestleMania may have changed, but I don't know, one in the generation. It's the worst thing in the world. Also, thanks to the chat, The Rock tore his abdominal and abductor muscles and suffered a hernia. So that's like, a wham bam.
Yeah,
bam.
I said that.
Yeah,
that's a part of your core. I mean, whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm glad you're going more in depth than me, but I thought saying core was good enough. But yeah, thanks.
Also, not words easy for me to read at 1:30 a.m. It turns out. I did that tactic of read it quickly so you can't hear I'm saying it wrong. Just pretend. It worked really well. It's a mixture of tactics just to hide how absolutely knackered I am. Because again, 2 late Sundays for the pay-per-views, and then I get 1 day to recover for the Raw and NXT, and I've had a builder arriving at my house at like 8 a.m. every day. So I am at lighting. I've been very smart. I've put the light on the left-hand side of me very strongly, so you can't see the right side of my face. It's in shadow. So I felt like I've been very smart with it. It's like, no, trust me, I am worn down. I'm not the greatest. Anyway, I feel like this is a kind of great reminder. I'm on a tangent because let's go to the rest of the NXT review. To the rest of the show. Sure. We'll go through all the different matches and segments and things. And I haven't got many notes for a fair few of the segments because it was just fine, I guess, building to a thing. But the first one was Dexter Lumis versus Johnny Gargano. An opening where, again, the first NXT review, I invited James on for 2021, and it kicks off with Dexter Lumis. Not a great start. Not gonna lie. I could have invited him any week, and I chose this one.
Do you know how hard it is to get a 1080p version of NXT like before it goes up on the network? Like without DVR. You know how hard that is?
Yeah.
I found that this might be the first time I've ever, to do your show, I found one that was like actually you find 1080p and it was actually 1080p. It wasn't like 450. And it was like, oh, this is great. This is gonna be fun. And then the first match, like it's that, and I'm just like,
he put in all that effort.
Oh god.
It's creepy Dexter getting his one-on-one with Gargano. But yeah, it's more like it's just that it's with the way at ringside to play a tad of distraction, and for me that was the entire match. Just that one sentence of Dexter maybe getting a bit of Gargano, but really it was the way distraction at ringside, which was the story of this. Like, it didn't help that Austin's a tad incompetent and Indy seems to have a crush on Dexter. That's this week's evolution. But in wrestling, a distraction's a distraction. In the end, the way were all over the place with those ringside antics and cost Johnny the match. Later in the show, we got a bit of a next step to what's going to happen next. And like Austin, like Johnny going off on them, like, what, Austin? Why didn't you hit him with the chair? And Indy's like, he's kind of hot. It's just like, but Gargano's measured response: "You're going to therapy." So that next week we've got a comedic therapy skit.
Of course,
they're hit and miss. Some of them are remembered fondly in WWE, others are Banks and Bailey. So they're not all remembered fondly, but when they are, you get like a Kane Daniel Bryan thing which kind of sets on fire and people love it. And Johnny's comedic enough to carry it. You know what roles are going to play in it, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I can tell James's kind of feelings on this just by his face as I was talking about it. But do you want to elaborate on your feelings?
Like the match as far as Dexter Lumis matches go was fine. Like that's the thing about the Lumis thing is he's actually an okay wrestler in the ring. Like, I mean, it's not like he's some limited dude like for example, that's muscle bound like Elias, for example. Dude can actually get in the ring and do some things. The problem is they have him with this character that just does not sell, or when he does sell, like it's not him being really emotive. It's him just laying on the ground and touching his forehead, and like with a stone face. And it's like he's a baby face, and like he's getting ganged up on, and he's way bigger than the heel and all this stuff. And it's like they're trying to give you all this stuff to give you sympathy. In that the 12 dozen fans are actually in attendance, actually like we're cheering for Lumis, but it's like I'm just not buying it. Like it's a thing. Like I don't know what they have to do for him. Like even the strap match with the 2 strap matches he's had hasn't worked for me. Where it's like he takes a beating or whatever else. It's just it's I don't get what's likable about this character. I just don't.
Yeah.
It's hard for me. I don't know. I don't get it.
Also, just coming off the chat, yes, I think they did. Yeah, I think Lumis and Gargano have already faced, and then Lumis has done weird stuff after that. To then,
no, they wrestled just like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago.
My memory was it after New Year's Evil because he did that.
Yes,
it was.
Yes.
Okay, I do remember.
It was basically like 2 or 3 weeks before going into before the takeover where they wrestled. The spot that made me just howl with laughter was he did the I don't want to say the look at Johnny. Johnny like was on his feet while Lumis was on his hands doing the fist crawling thing, and Johnny freaked out like, "Huh!" And then a second later he super right in his face, and I howled. You had that, and then basically after that happened, because Austin Theory helped him Gargano win. He goes and grabs Theory and chokes him out, and then Kushida comes out and puts Gargano into the hoverboard lock. So they were. I thought they were going to do him and Austin Theory, or Lumis and Austin Theory, and then eventually, hopefully just forget about any idea of doing Johnny Gargano and Lumis for a North American title shot. But apparently, no, they have forgotten.
Yeah. Well, we're building to something. Also, what's up, Hicks? How you doing? But yeah, it's to remember about Dexter Lumis. To not forget that back in when I first saw him in TNA as a cruiserweight John Cena with his jorts and everything, it's doing that stuff. Like the guy can go. I've seen it in the ring, and then he did the creepy bastard stuff. The more forgotten about that, the better. But he's kind of been trying to figure out this character for quite a while. And it seems in NXT, the creative have really latched onto him. But they really like him. I don't know if NXT was currently in front of a proper audience if they would have got the kind of test of... I don't think it's as working as well. But I also don't know if that's because of the environment it's in. I think I said this quite a few times before. Where I kind of feel like Dexter Lumis might be a bit like Elias. Where he's not the kind of act that gels into NXT that well, given the stronger indie feel NXT has. The more wacky feel WWE main roster has, maybe. I just fear that they might fall back into creepy bastard, given how their creative works out. As in, this might be the better version of Dexter Lumis. It's my other fear. Even though the weird stuff like this might fit into the main roster better. I mean...
Yeah, I mean that could be something. That he could be, similar to the Elias thing, where he's better suited for. I mean, you also kind of for Braun. Like Braun was way better suited for the main roster than NXT at the time. But either way, like we're stuck with him on the show that was billed as being no BS, and I have this like axe murderer that like has a windowless van that abducts people for matches in his house or at somebody's house and stuff like that. I'm just like, and puts people in their trunk, and like they're playing it as if like he's Kane, and like Indy Hartwell thinks he's cute now all of a sudden, even though she's interacted with him or been in the same camera frame as him multiple times already, and that never happened. Like this is a new development out of nowhere. I guess kidnapping Austin Theory made him hot to her. I don't know. It's like I hope ultimately what it is just a gag, and eventually like in the title match, like she'll play him or use him or whatever else, and then like eventually screw him in the title defense, and that's how they get away from him getting a title or getting his title defense, and they'll have something to fall back on. It's like, oh, he got screwed by Indy, so whatever else. Like hopefully that's what it is. Because the other way around is like, what is this? Just what is it?
Yeah, Lumis is the kind of guy who does weird stuff, but then doesn't actually win a championship or anything. He just does weird things. For me, that's kind of the peak of where his character could go. To make him actually a champion in his current state, I feel like, no. I wouldn't be into it at all. Not really. Yeah, but it's an awesome tangent into an act I 100% am into. The grizzled young veterans backstage attacking MSK, it'll come up later in the show, but they just beat the crap out of them as MSK trying to give like a big babyface promo. It's like, oh, like we're so ecstatic for what comes next, and the challenge for the championships, and bam, in comes Liverpudlian and wherever Drake's from. I can never remember. It's not Liverpool. Gibson steals the show though. To be fair, where's he? It doesn't matter. Tangent, but yeah, I love that act. I absolutely love Grizzled Young Veterans. Again, they are an act that I'd seen before WWE, so I've always got that pre-WWE bias. It is a thing for us nerds. It happens. Like, because I watched him in Ring of Honor, I can never remember the name Damian Priest. Even in NXT, it's a thing I kept bringing up. I kept calling him Punishment Martinez, and they go, oh, right. No, but you can only have one Martinez, and that's Mercedes. You can't have another one. That'd just be too confusing. So, it's not that, is it? What is his name? And they even paired him up with Bad Bunny, and that's not enough for me to remember his name. Charlie Caruso doing the DP thing. We're definitely demonetized now. Doing that. I don't know if you've seen that. Have you?
No.
Even really? Rich didn't bring that to your attention. So Charlie Caruso, they were it was talking when at Raw Talk. That's it. And R-Truth just on the thing, just calls him DP. Damian Priest just calls him DP, and Charlie flat out just goes, DP, yeah, I like that. DP, I like DP, yeah, I like that. And it's just, oh no. And Truth has like kind of just slyly in like his kind of raving nonsense. He has just randomly just called Damian Priest DP within that massive sentence. He has done it on Raw, so it's just yeah. So that was I can't believe you missed that. That was yeah.
I guess I just totally missed it. I actually have a weird story that actually like involves that kind of misunderstanding around the letters D and P. My mother last year, actually a few days past her anniversary, got married. Her name's Patricia. My stepdad's name is Dan. So on their wedding day, they're walking down the aisle. There was supposed to be a some type of like arrangement of flowers or fake flowers that was going to have their first initial. And I was like, make sure that it is P and D. It cannot be the other way around. And the wedding planner is this lady that was the mother of one of my childhood friends. So she was like, why are you is it your sister? And I was like, okay, miss. I'm going to tell you why, but I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm gonna tell you, and that can only be it. And I told her, and she was like, "How you know that?" And I was like, "Oh Lord." How do you find information? I was like, "That's not the point. Just make sure that it is P and D." So yeah, my bad. We can see you on actual talk about NXT as opposed to goofiness like this.
We've all had that conversation of having to explain what MILF is. All of that stuff, like, we've all been there. But yeah, still. Then we'll move on to Tyler Rust. I feel like this is a perfect transition. Tyler Rust to Leon Ruff, who is the background picture for today's show. You can't tell because I realised after putting James in, oh yeah, James covers up Swerve. So that's what your background is. And because I pop every time that Leon Ruff does that kind of upside down pose and when he does that really enthusiastically over the top happy, like, yeah, I'm wrestling type of thing. I get really behind it. And that's when Swerve jumped in. I just absolutely loved it. A fantastic jump in. Leon Ruff and Tyler Rust never started. Swerve with a great running, assaulting the lad at ringside with a painful looking FU onto the side of the ring apron. That was brutal. And then my favourite bit of it all, or second favourite bit after the kick, Bivens just lifts up Russ's arm going, hey! It's like, a win's a win, baby. He knows what he's doing. Russ building that streak. I thought this was an absolutely fantastic running.
Yeah, I love this segment. I love, I guess beforehand when they show you backstage that Ruff is still injured from Swerve, but he's cleared to perform, which is like, who the hell are these doctors in NXT? But whatever. And then all of a sudden, similar to last week with Kushida, whereas all of a sudden someone's in the training room saying they're injured from previous match, but they're cleared, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere,
just pops up.
Yes, like Bivens just shows up out of nowhere, a big smile on his face, like, "Hey man, how about me doing my Don King, just like book a fraudulent match because you're hurt and whatever else." And these babyfaces keep falling for it; they keep getting goaded into it.
And like we see, like the couple, like quite one of the talks on like the criticisms of NXT is them having like a big, really talented person and not using them. For me, Bivens has been one of those guys for a while where I've just been confused as to he hasn't used him. Again, one of those names I knew from the indie days, and I've just found him hilarious for quite some time. Yes. Like, how are you not using him? And the fact that he is fantastic, and I feel like he's being used in the perfect role here so far. And yeah, I feel like it's great. I'm just happy to see him on TV because he's cracking me up. Just constantly, I just need him to land a bigger client. Like, that's the one thing. If it's Adam Cole, great. If it's whoever, like, find a heel that he can do this with on a higher level and get him onto, into that title picture or top of the card type of thing as a manager. Like if you want to do the Paul Jones army, the Heenan, group of people, the stuff they've done with Cornette in many different places, like, he's that kind of talent to where you can do that and rely on him to get over people that can't talk. Like, I actually like the relationship and interactions between Russ and him. Like, Russ actually believes that that his best interests are like being taken care of by Bivens, even though we know like he's a scumbag. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like like he would sell you a used car. You know what I'm saying? Not to say not to say there's every like used car salesman is a scumbag, but he's the one that sells you like that makes sure that like the vehicle and the engine like passes the lemon law and nothing else. Yeah, just like what was it? Oh, I've forgotten his name. Oh, legendary actor. It's the first Transformers. Really famous actor who played the car salesman in the first Transformers.
Was it Donald Glover?
No.
Not Donald Glover, Danny Glover's what I'm thinking of. I don't know why I'm thinking. This is going to be somebody else like, why is it this white guy? Why are you making this white guy?
What is this? This is so irritating. He's one of my favourite actors growing up. I've got his face. I'm definitely thinking of the right guy.
We're talking about Transformers and the NXT thing. This is going just everywhere.
What was He's in much better movies, but that was one that came specifically the Carl Spencer character who's playing in that film. He was the dad in the film where Ashton Kutcher marries a black girl, so he got a bit of probably very outdated comedy in that. And he was the dad. Was it called
Bernie Mac?
Yes, but yes. I was trying to think of Bernie Mac. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was so irritated. Couldn't think of his name.
Okay.
Yeah. So Bernie Mac as the car salesman in Transformers. That's the character Michael Bivens reminds me of, in a way. Where it's. I'm sorry to everybody I could not remember Bernie Mac's name. Especially people who grew up in my era of the late 90s, early 2000s, where he's like one of my favourite actors. Like, that's irritating. I couldn't remember his name. So this is now a tribute show to Bernie Mac in response to me forgetting who he is. But yeah, that's what Michael Bivens reminds me of, is Bernie Mac's character in Transformers. So yeah, that's the tangent we went on. Anyway, let's go on to Zoey Stark versus Io Shirai. And hey, Zoe's promo had a great start before the video just froze, and then it just went to the next video they had loaded up for the picture-in-picture. So that was a shame. I will say, they don't give just anyone a match with the champion in the second telly outing. They clearly have a lot of faith in Zoey Stark in the early going, and getting in a decent amount of offense to boot. Killing the business! Like Io always winning, but had to start taking the new NXT last serious later in the match. Plenty of upside to Zoey Stark. Io Shirai won with that moonsault, but earned the champion's respect. And then after the match, out comes Toni Storm and challenges for the title. But yeah, Zoey Stark, after her impressive debut last week against the Jobber, I just assumed, that's what we're going to get for the little running. Zoey Stark gets a little outing every now and then. We've seen it in NXT quite a few times. And it's NXT, that is a perfect place for that kind of thing to happen. But William Regal on Twitter gives her a match, and I think that clip was played earlier in the show as well. and she gets a match with the champion in a second outing, which is very AEW of them. where they have that big talent who's going to get a big talent's going to look awesome against this newbie, this rookie on the show, and the newbie gets loads of experience and gets to look solid against one of the best wrestlers on the card, who they're obviously not going to beat. And but or killing the business. Which one is it, James?
No, like it's just common sense, like or not common sense, but like if you think of it this way, right? If you are to book your wrestling shows, if wins and losses matter, where you gain momentum, like think about it in real sports, like momentum isn't actually real. Like if you could bottle momentum, you would always have momentum, you would never give it back, and nobody ever comes back when they're down 20 points in a basketball game, or multiple goals in a soccer or in a football match. Like that doesn't happen. Like there are ebbs and flows, right? So the thing, the thing for me is, because this is fake, you should be able to build, quote unquote, people believe in momentum even though it's not real. So because you can build someone going in a win streak and getting, quote unquote, hot or whatever else, like you can capitalize on that. So I think the thing for me is, like, when you have wins and losses mattering, you can build streaks to get people over, as in saying, like, they're moved up the the contendership rankings or whatever else. Not even to mention, like, AEW actually had the real rankings. But I said that because, like, when you have people slotted in roster positioning, like, certain things matter. Like, so if you are a noob, or if you are a bottom of the card or prelim person, I don't want to say bottom card, a prelim person, if you get a match with a champion and you make the champion sweat, that's, for lack of a better word, a moral victory, whatever else, and it makes you think like you're better, like you could be tracking towards beating somebody that's in the mid card eventually, or that sort of thing, right? Like, I watch a lot of Stardom, and that happens too, right? So like Zoey Stark going out there after squashing somebody, a great squash, by the way, last week, going in here and making the champion sweat is like, okay, cool. And I would like to see, like, the progress this person makes down the line when they get in the ring with that person again. So, like, they do another Zoey Stark EO match in 2 months or whatever else. They're going to get closer and closer and closer. And, like, that's still closer. That's what you think of, like, Darby and Cody over the last year and a half or 2 years. It's like, we saw him go to distance with him for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever that time limit was. And then eventually they paid it off by he beats him for the title after he was chasing after this guy for a year and a half. And, like, that's storytelling.
Yeah.
that's the good stuff we like. So, like, yeah, I like the opening chapter of EO versus Zoey Stark, and I like to see what they do, when eventually gets down the line to where she's up elevated, she deserves a title shot against whoever.
Like, I can't wait for AEW to Naito Hangman, where he just get all behind him, and then right at the end, just break all of our hearts right at the climax. So yeah, but we're invested in it. They're building it up over a very long time. But yeah, so like Zoey Stark versus Io Shirai now, where we've just seen her with a really impressive like squash debut. And then Zoey Stark versus Io Shirai after Zoey Stark has had a few months of character and development. And it's like, yeah, that's a completely different. Like we've seen quite a few times in NXT, where you see them at the start where there's hot new act, then you see them with their NXT character, and they've had that developed, they've had that arc kind of play out. Suddenly, you're so much more excited to see it. Like, to be fair, Toni Storm's an example of that, where Toni Storm, when she came back originally from NXT UK, she was, her and Ripley, they tore it up in NXT UK. That's awesome to see them on NXT. But now she's got all of that like character and development going against EO as this kind of like established heel on the show. It's like, yeah. It's an interesting way they did it. It's just
the reason why I laugh is because like I guess like in NXT right now, it seems like all the character development is done by like, someone turned heel.
Yeah. Well, that's the.
So like you mentioned Toni Storm was like, because he turned heel.
Like, I know we were meant to be talking about Swerve for the match earlier, but we just talked about Bernie Mac instead. But yeah, like Swerve is a perfect example of that. And I remember when like the episode he turned, I think I happened to have you on, and Rich was in the chat. And Rich was just like, I cannot believe they've turned this man heel. After Rich was praising him in real life for how fantastic he connects to the audience and all of that, and how naturally he seems to be able to do it. And they turn him heel. personally, it's another example of in WWE you don't get any character until you turn heel. Suddenly, you're oozing with it. It's just the most amazing thing. Some people are like, Leon Ruff is a fantastic example of a pure babyface. It's just, sure, I know we said this about Gargano, but Leon Ruff is pure babyface. He is, who was the pasty guy on ECW? Used to always get battered, and then as in WWE ECW, used to always get battered, and I want to say like Cody something. I can't remember if that's right.
In ECW?
Yeah, as in WWE ECW, they had a really pale, skinny guy.
I can help you there. I didn't watch that. I wasn't watching then.
Yeah, so they had this essentially jobber, but he would come out every single week, get absolutely battered. I think it was in like the Mark Henry on ECW era, where you got the big lads, had the big monster shows where it's like him and Kane on the ECW roster at the same time, and it tells you what became of it. But yeah, they had that he would come out every single week, and the story was he's showing heart. Even though he's getting absolutely battered, each successive week he's coming out with more and more bandages out, but he keeps going out to fight, kind of stuff. Like, for me, that is 100% a babyface character. Just keep pushing that. Yeah. Leon Ruff screams that. Don't do what... Colin Delaney! Yes, thank you, chats. Yes, thank you, Murray, in the chat. Yes, Colin Delaney. He returned as a jobber, I remember, back in, in 2016, where suddenly WWE Creative suddenly woke up and they had a fantastic year. That end of year for 2016, going into 17. Then it all broke in 17, but they had a great half a year. Anyway, why do I remember that? And I don't remember my brother's birthday sometimes. It's just what's wrestling done to me? But yeah.
Wait, is that Murray from what? Is that Murray from Social Suplex?
Yes, yeah, Muzzer. Yeah, Muzzer.
I don't understand. Like you and Murray both. Like y'all both live. In that time slot or whatever else in the world, and like y'all just night owls. It's like
yeah.
It's crazy. Y'all stay up to watch these things live. I can. Y'all are real fans. If I was over there 5 hours ahead of the East Coast in America, I go to sleep and record it and go back and get up and watch it. That's exactly what I do.
If I didn't do work for Wrestling Headlines, I would be a lot more relaxed with my wrestling watching. I'm not going to lie. Especially ever since I took over Aftershock from Stephen Bell. Ever since I took over Aftershock, going live after the pay-per-views, that's been like a real thing to get used to. Just being up, because I only took over. I want to say it was 2019, as in around SummerSlam time. And I've only started videos like this summer. It's taken a lot to get used to with that late nights. Yes. Anyway, I can't remember what we were talking about before we went on a tangent of a tangent. But yeah, it was.
We were talking about EO and Zoey and this basically like being a first chapter potentially.
Yeah. So you got Tony Storm and Shirai kind of just showing us that example of what we're kind of talking about, of Zoey Stark coming back and being awesome to see later down the line. Tony Storm is at that point, and to be fair, it could even be Zoey Stark challenging Tony Storm as well, given whatever the future advances. With EO going back to Stardom, some event or whatever happens.
Hey, keep that quiet.
Don't be teasing James with crap like that. It's just,
oh my god! Like, you know how if I was somebody that was more passionate about the politics of professional wrestling, like I could absolutely draw up enough ire to hate WWE forever for keeping Kyrie from being on this Budokan Hall show that's coming up next week. Oh my gosh! She was going to be in the main. She was going to be in the main event.
It's
whatever, I guess.
The comments of Triple H of we'll be really open with working with other promotions, and AEW putting them to shame. Again, it's the thing I say about AEW. They are doing nothing special. They're doing every single move they're making. WWE could have been doing this all along, but they chose not to. They chose to be on an island of their own making. To be fair, WWE present themselves as mightier than everybody, and that presentation, to a degree, works. Because you believe it, in a way. WrestleMania feels like the biggest show in the world. They do really well at building that spectacle. But when we're talking about stuff like this, not letting Kairi Sane wrestle on a Stardom show in Japan, which is absolutely zero competition to anything they're doing, that's a bit, 100% bit.
I think it's very humbling, or at least it should be very humbling. Like, given what this pandemic has done to their presentation, because like they still have like, for example, a recent advantage. Like, they brought out those 8K cameras like every so often, like over the last couple months, right? And they're awesome looking, right?
Yeah.
But you look at, the 4D graphics, the lighting stuff, how well lit the shows are, how good, like, their network content is, right? Like, forget the live stuff where the wrestling shows where Vince's creative is whacked out, or Triple H is just, like, is on one, or whatever else at the time. All of their stuff is so great, right? As far as, like, their documentaries, the podcast stuff they do, all that stuff is great. But once there's and also, the venues, but once you have to you can't, put thousands of people inside of a building. Once you have to strip it down to its essential stuff or whatever else, like, you see, like, and it's actually a somewhat level playing field. You see, like, comparing one show to the next show to the next show to the next show, and you're just like, yeah. Like, that stuff does not work without fans, and that stuff does not work like when it's pared down. Like, and I think that's one of the things from, like, the last year that I was like, I just think about it, is like, this stuff, like, they have been the worst at it. They've been the worst at, as far as, like, adjusting to this stuff. Like, when it took them forever to finally decide to switch the camera angle to the ramp. And the type, like, it was a lot of stuff. The fans that they had there that couldn't, or actually, like, the PCers that had to stand and couldn't sit. It was a major thing or whatever else. But I mean, we're getting off track again. We keep doing this.
Right, time to get back on track then. Murray saying that it's how you lot over the pond feel about watching anything from Japan, in terms of, like, us staying up late and doing all that, and then try to avoid spoilers and things if you can't stay up late. It's a whole big deal.
Well, I mean, when it comes to me with avoiding spoilers, like, it just depends on if Murray gets to me or not, because he's quick to spoil my ass on something. Yeah, like, I've never watched a Japanese show live. The first show I'm ever going to watch, like, live is going to be this Stardom Budokan Hall show on Wednesday. Like, I've never done it. I've watched. Yeah, it's the third. Yeah, I've never watched any New Japan, not a Best of Super Junior, not a G1 final, not Wrestle Kingdom. I've never watched it live. And this is gonna be my first Japanese wrestling show that I watch live. Like, I'm that invested to the show, and, like, it's gonna be an incredible show. Like, top to bottom, like, they have, like, eight matches. 6 of them are going to be, like, great. So I'm hyped. But now we're doing more digressing.
It's like, as you're just saying that, I was like, before you go back, I do just want to give a shout out to Guila, who's kind of up there as, for me, if she keeps up the rate she's at, probably she's going to be in my, like, top rankings of the wrestlers of 2021 so far. I've been really, really impressed with her. And I know last year was also strong, with her being champion and everything, but this year, I don't know, it feels like there's something else to it. There's an oomph there that I'm sensing. It's just a little thing I'm noticing where I'm really highly rating her right now, and she's not really among any names you see of like, oh, be really excited to see go to and maybe wrestle I'm really high on her right now. I think she's.
I think that comes to do with, like, as far as technical wrestling goes, like, she's behind a lot of the women in Stardom. The thing is, like, she's got an incredible push. She's great at storytelling, and her main draw, and they rely on, especially towards the end of her match, her big matches are, she's great at brawling. And it's the same. And like, to be honest with you, like, Hana Kimura, similar thing. Like, I think obviously Julia is more willing to do crazy stuff to get her matches over, but Hannah at her core was at her best when she would brawl, and that's the reason. I think that's the reason why they kind of paired together at first when Julie came into Stardom, because worst comes to worst, the technical precision, like they're never going to be Konami or Shuri or Mayu or whatever else, but or be someone that can take to a mat game like a Micah or a Utami, but they can throw blows and sell and scream and shout and do moves off of that and strong style or whatever else, and they were both good at that, and I think that's the reason why like her and Tam have worked out so well over the last almost a year at this point, 9 months or whatever else, because like Tam is kind of similar in that like she's about like getting emotion out, and like that brawling brings that out. I think that's why they pair together. So
yeah, I'm thinking about it. It was just like the names you're mentioning. I'm like, oh wait a minute. Yeah, I think the names that I've gravitated to the most are all like that. As in, I must. There must be something about that style that really pulls it. Yeah, story's like a massive deal to me. If you nail story in that and do things like that, then I will get really invested in what you're doing. That's why I'm so to Hangman Page right now. Yeah. I'm really into that. So.
Did you see the Julia and Starlight Kid match yet?
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard nothing but raving reviews.
Yeah. It like the Izumi, obviously like the Izumi and Shuri match from just a technical, move, sales, skill, that sort of thing is a better match. But as far as like if you are somebody that likes Starlight Kid, you will hate Julia's guts by the end of it. You just will. Even if you like Julia, like if you like Starlight Kid even a little bit, you'd be like, this is beyond the pale. This is ridiculous. What are you doing?
No, Mamishi does a really good job. I can't wait to say it. Yeah. I've not seen that yet, but I can use the toilet again in my bathroom. It's not covered in dust anymore. So there's
priorities.
Yeah, priorities. I could just sit there and watch wrestling. Or, do something I maybe need to do. We made a mistake of not taking it. We got a little stand for toilet roll. We made a mistake of not taking that out before the work was done. So that's like 4 rolls we got to chuck in a pandemic. That is not a good thing that's happened there. That's yeah. I'm in danger of going into an even bigger topic, and I feel like that's me making that statement is the perfect statement to talk about living it large with that dollar. It's Cameron Grimes. Let's talk about Cameron Grimes. Yes, you can go from a toilet roll stand to Cameron Grimes with all of that money. I absolutely love Cameron Grimes falling into money. So I would just. It's because he is like the commonest of the common. He is not he does not know how to be rich, and it's just and I love it because of that.
That is some of the like best parts of like watching pro sports or whatever else. So for example, like I don't know how this works as far as like club leagues or whatever else, but like as far as like the NFL and the NBA, when you see like guys or just you see guys and they get like they're gonna sign for more money than they've ever had before, that sort of thing, and it's like it's this nice thing, but it's also that part where it's like they're getting a certain amount of money that like because of class because of the class stratus because of stratosphere of classes or stratification of classes, like they quote unquote don't know how to act with it, and like this falls in line with that. Just on the class thing, where it's like, I don't know if you've ever heard of this show called The Beverly Hillbillies.
I have heard of it.
It's a classic black and white comedy from back in the day. Where, long story short, a family of country folk basically become oil tycoons, and they move to Beverly Hills, and their neighbors they're basically are like fish out of water, like dealing with their neighbors. Like Cameron Grimes is basically like Ted Clampett, like when Ted Clampett shooting, hunting, and ends up hitting oil, and it comes out the ground. And he's rich but this time it's just Cameron Grimes as his wrestler that basically lucked into some stocks, and now he's filthy sick and rich, and is like. It's either going to be great because he has no business with this money and he's going to be disrespectful and stupid and he's an idiot, or he's going to lose it and it's going to be even funnier because he's stupid and an idiot and doesn't deserve that money to begin with anyway. Yeah. Like, either way, this is a win because he's just acting like so dumb. It's fantastic. I love it. I really do.
And, how much did he lose in this show alone? Like 30, 40 grand? It's just not, yeah. not making wise investments.
Let's go through the story. Let's go through the story of Cameron Grimes on the show, and then we'll talk about how I love this so much.
So he's been watching the Ted DiBiase clip from back in the day. Well, it's a classic clip. It's one of my favourites from the era, where he gets a little kid, an adorable little kid. And I think earlier in the show they even showed him with his mum and things, because I have watched the show where it happens. And they build it up, and then he gets thinking like, right, if you can dribble it 10 times, and the kid's like, all right then, and he goes for it, completely oblivious. Every adult knows what's about to happen, but the kid is absolutely oblivious. He's like, I can do this, and he's going for it, and I think he gets to 8 or 9, and Ted DiBiase puts his foot underneath the basketball, and the look on his face, it is amazing. Like, he cannot believe what has just happened. The clip is like 20, 30 years old. And it's going to be 30 years old at this point. But it still gets the same reaction out of me. It's so funny. And it's one of the things that I don't think will ever age. Just amazing comedy. But Cameron Grimes here is like, well, he's the rich guy. I'm going to do what that rich guy did. People are going to respect me, just like they did Ted DiBiase. It's just the fact that whenever he's trying to treat it like it's his own thing. Like there's that guy from school who would tell a joke, but all he's doing is he's repeating jokes he's heard a stand-up comedian say. As in, he's just... and if you've seen that show, you're like, come on, man. It's just... And they're selling it as their own.
There's no way anybody would hear this Eddie Murphy joke from 1984. It's Eddie Murphy. Yes, someone heard it.
Yeah, so it's essentially he's doing that, and I love that everybody immediately is like, "What, like the Ted DiBiase thing?" It's just every time. So the first guy he does it, Cameron goes like, "Oh, that's a genius idea," and he just goes to a guy backstage who I did see on Twitter was like, "Thanks for the money, Cameron." But so he gets him to dribble it 10 times, and then he just does it 10 times, and Cameron goes like, "Wait, what? I didn't think you'd actually be able to do it." It's like, you meant to put your foot under and stop me from dribbling. It's like, oh, I should have watched the end of the video. Oh! He just gets so angry, he just storms off. I thought that was great. Then when we go back to him, he's on... Where was he? It's outside somewhere. I want to say like just a housing area, maybe.
Yeah, just outside in the dangerous outskirts of any WWE facility. It's very dangerous.
So, later on, we'll see how dangerous it gets, because we got an all-out brawl in the parking lot.
Yes, we did.
So there's 3 people sat there looking at, and Kevin Grimes is talking to them. There's a black guy, there's a WNBA player who screamed WNBA as soon as he saw her, but Cameron Grimes, oblivious, it's fine. Then... there's a blonde girl who I didn't get any stats on. I don't know who that was. That's called his stats.
Do your research.
Yeah. And one of my favourite things of this little bit was just where he's now thinking about how you do this, and he's now got to choose which is the perfect person to pick here. And
he has to find the mark. Yes.
Yeah. And immediately he's like, it could be you. And then he looks at the black guy. He's like, probably not you. And then goes across. It's like, oh, the little subtleties there, but it did make me laugh. Then he looks at the black woman, and as you're looking at her, you're just like, there's something about you. And then as soon as she stands up, it's like, WNBA player. But it's just the way that she was sitting there, it's like, if she felt like it. It's just... And Cameron Grimes like, I've made a mistake.
She stood up and she just kept going.
Yeah. But he still believes in the con. He knows what to do now. He's going to stick his foot underneath when she's dribbling. So, and it's just the way that he essentially wound up to do it as well, just so dramatically, and swings his foot underneath, and then she bounces it between her legs and does generally avoid him. And where's my 10 grand then? And he's so angry. He got him. And then they all walk off. Again, he loses another 10 grand. Then later in the show, he's in the parking lot. He finds one last mark. One last person to do it on. And he's absolutely frustrated. He's so angry. When the person goes, what, a Ted DiBiase thing? He's like, yes, like the Ted DiBiase thing. Just dribble. It's a bloody dribble. And it gets the person to... I apologise to people listening via headphones. I got into the character too much. I didn't do the accent. It's all right. It's like Cameron Grimes. Do the job. So then, so he gets the guy to do the dribbling, and he's basically just shouting at him to do it. So just dribble, just do it. He's so desperate to con somebody to do the Ted DiBiase thing, and the guy dribbles one and then two, and I think Cameron Grimes realised it just depends on frustration. He can't figure it out, so he just punches him in the face, and knocks him down, and he's like, oh, there is. Money does bring happiness. And he's all jolly and just skips away and things. But yeah.
The best part about that is, he loses $1,000 the first time, loses $1,000 to the lovely lady, and then this time he's so frustrated again, not being able to con somebody or screw somebody over. He two dribbles, decks to do, drops him. And then he celebrates, money does buy happiness. And he throws all this money in the air, and then they pan away from him and pan over the guy, the dude that's knocked out. And you see all the money on it. It's like, bro, you just lost more money on the one that you quote unquote won than the other two combined. You idiot. And it's like, I cannot wait till this dude goes. Look, I know this sounds like hating. I understand it, but this is fake. I can't wait till this cartoon character goes broke. It's gonna be fucking hilarious. It's gonna be the best. It's gonna be in shambles, I say.
Yeah, and it's arguably the NXT story I'm into. I'll say the second most. I won't break it up that much. But I am in to see him again. Yeah, that episode where he turns up just a broken man. He's lost everything.
Yes, he wrecked the Lamborghini last week.
Yeah, it's just
it's gonna come. It's gonna come hard on this dude. It is gonna be hilarious. Hilarious.
Yeah, and I just commend what they're doing creatively with this, because I feel like with that, I mean, I love this character, and it is wrestling. There could be a chance to try and stick with the character, keep going. However, as a character arc, this man has got to lose everything, because it's just a perfect beat.
Yes,
yeah,
he does. I will say this: he's done so well with this that if they eventually decide to let this ride for where he's stinking rich for however long it needs to go, I'm okay with it, because even while he's super rich, he's still an idiot and is hilarious and is losing money despite himself at the time while he's stinking rich. Yeah. It's either way, I'm still good with it. But I know that, there is going to be some crowning moment or some spectacular moment when he loses all that you just imagine. He's that's going to be one of the best moments of 2021 in television wrestling if he goes broke, soon. Either way, whatever they want to do, I'm good with. They have creative goodwill with this one. They absolutely do with me.
Right, so let's move on to Casey Catanzaro with Caden Carter versus Jaya Lee, and I think it was James, earlier today, commenting on the fact that creepy lass on the chair, forgotten her name, and she's got a Twitter account. Obviously, this 100-year-old empress trained by the dragon. 1,000-year-old empress trained by the ancient dragon in the ancient ways of the hashtag and the emojicons. It's just it's a little weird. It's a weird trope in WWE where everybody has a certain thing, and it for this one specific character doesn't make sense for this to be a thing if you're keeping it up. However, everybody has a Twitter account, so you've got to, I guess.
Well, I mean, you can have a Twitter account, but you don't have to tweet. Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, had a Twitter account. He never used it until he got out of WWE and used it as a promotional tool to pump his stuff to New Japan and stuff in AEW and wherever else. That's fine. My thing is, if you're going to make one just because you need to get the followers, because to say that everybody on the roster has to have one, cool. You have to come up with some story saying that Boa or Xia Li is tweeting from this account, or somebody is in charge of this account that is a part of of this Karen Q project. Otherwise, it's just you're sitting here feeling well, why the hell does the Undertaker have a Twitter account while he's a dead man?
yeah, it's kind of kayfabe breaking unless you give a logical reason why it would work. It kind of makes sense. Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like, well, what good does it do you? To like, what end does this? To what end does having a Twitter account help this particular person that's running this character? Like, if this is, it's one thing if it was like, Karrion Kross still had her own personal Twitter account, but that's not what's going on. This is the Twitter account for this character, and this character will absolutely never have a Twitter account. What the hell even is Twitter?
Yeah, I will say I am really enjoying the Xia and Bo kind of build they're doing, and whatever. Was it Tian Sha? Is that what Karrion Kross called now? Tian Sha?
I can't pronounce it. That's why I'm not even trying.
All right.
That's the reason why I'm calling by her old name, because I can't pronounce it. I don't even know how to spell it yet.
I know you put a kind of twang, and it's like Tian Sha, like that. I guess in a way. We'll wait till the announcer says it and gets it all wrong, and I'll do what she says. That's the rule.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I'm really into it. I'm really liking it. My only I really liked the animation they did for the backstory. I got really into that. My main critique has been immediately after they showed that video, Beth Phoenix is like, "What? We've got to believe she's 1,000 years old. What's this?" It's just like, why are you doing that? No, take that out of the script. Why are you like covering your backs in case somebody critiques it for being silly by you critiquing it for being silly yourself on your show? It's fine if someone critiques it for being silly. It's all right. Yeah.
I like it, except I don't think it's right for what NXT was billed as. If this was the main roster, if this was Lucha Underground, go nuts. But this was built as like the promotion of Adam Cole, the Undisputed, and Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, real characters you can sink your teeth into, or even like someone like a Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens, that sort of thing. Like even back when Finn Balor was around with the war paint on, that was just war paint. It wasn't the Demon King. They didn't pull that one out until the main roster, until Vince got a hold of that. So, it is a departure from the NXT we used to know, and like it's you look at Kross with the tarot cards, and you look at this, and then you look at like Loomis, and you're just like, yeah, this is not the NXT of 2000, of 2019 or 2018 or previous. It's just like we're on to something else, and like I don't know how to let that go, and I don't know how to judge it differently from what was the standard before, and like I miss it. I really do. I really do.
Yeah, this absolutely screams Lucha Underground, especially with the like the ancient thing of 1,000 years ago. That is pure Lucha Underground, and I am somebody who absolutely loved Lucha Underground when it was on, and it's one of those things I should probably go back to and check it out. But it introduced me to so many wrestlers. But it is 100% something like that, just with the Chinese culture. I mean, Lucha Underground dabbled a little bit in Chinese culture, but only so Pentagon could beat up 3 women in an amazing episode, by the way, where he faced off against the 3.
Japanese. Was the tryout Japanese? Was the tryout Japanese or no? I'm sorry. What was the name of the Lotus? What were they? Were Kyrie and Io and Mayu? Were they billed as Chinese or Japanese?
Because I thought it was like a triad thing, and the triad thing's Chinese. But if they weren't billed as that, and they were just 3 wrestlers, then they would have been billed as Japanese. I cannot remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember it was called Lotus something.
Yeah, because I thought the head lass that he was trying to get to fight, I thought she was Chinese, but I can't remember her name, and I can't remember anything about her other than she was the head one. Same. Yeah, but yeah. So again, absolutely amazing episode, and yes, there is an Io Shirai versus Pentagon Junior match from Lucha Underground. It is amazing. Go and watch it. Yeah. You will even, unlike this week, you will be able to see Kairi Sane wrestle on that show. It was amazing. Yeah. Anyway, let's tangent back in. But yes, this was a thing of Xia Li, character-wise, sent a message to Kacy Catanzaro last week, marking a hand like an evil pirate. I'm assuming there's history of that in Chinese culture other than me with my, pirates did it. I'm trying to think. Is it the black mark? There must be multiple kind of social circles.
They had the homie Shea Fu do that to Boa and Xia, before they actually got a training / brainwashed or whatever else. So like that that is, that was like that is a part of this act. Like, it wasn't like they pulled it out of nowhere.
Yeah, and so I like that happening. It was the fact that she made a threat, and this week she followed through. They didn't just do a match in which Xia Li won, and that counted as, well, I beat you up, blah 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 blah. No, she legitimately tried to injure her, and that was the point. And the referee stopped the match. And it's like, the match's been stopped because she's been hurt, which is the exact words that Xia Li made last week. I absolutely love the fact they followed through with that. Again, main roster, they say one thing last week, and this week they adjust it a little bit, but technically it fits, type of thing. Here, it is word for word what she said would happen is what happened. As in, you knew what you were going to do next week when you wrote that bit last week. It's like, yeah. That's long-term story. It's not. It's still short-term. As in, point B, when you wrote that thing, you knew you were going to do that thing later down the line. That's long-term stories. This is 1 week. So it's not. Point being, I really like that it followed through. Like, Lee feeling as dangerous as ever, just against a quick competitor in Casey Catanzaro, who was able to dodge and counter a lot of the offense. For me, best part of the match was easily when Jaya stomped on Casey's knee before then just dragging her by the hair inside the ring. She felt like such a badass whilst doing that. And then the referee stops the match because Casey's injured her knee. But the main point as well be that pisses off Caden as well, setting up Jaya Lee versus Caden Carter later down the line. Could they possibly build to a takeover for this? Or is this just straight up NXT? I mean, obviously it will take more weeks to build. Oh, I'm an idiot. I just remembered. On the episode, Xia Li says, "You're next." As in, on this show. So, again, in a week or two, it's going to happen. So, yeah. Also, Murray with the little thing of, if only Social Suplex had a podcast about Lucha Underground.
Yeah, the Grave Consequences podcast. It is Caleb, and it is Greg, and they talk about their love of Lucha Underground, and they go through episodes or whatever else. I just didn't know when I was going to get that in, but I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to put that over. Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I'm enjoying the presentation of it. I like this as a next act for the character. They're not doing anything crazy yet with Xia Li. I mean, given what we've seen so far, I would class none of that as doing something crazy. We'll wait until there's something supernatural. That's when I go, okay, you've jumped the shark a bit.
Yeah.
But, so far, when it's been action, it's just been, showing off the training. Which, again, in terms of they knew where they were going with it when they showed us the video of them training. As in, when you watch them wrestle in the ring, it fits the style of training they were doing. So that all builds and fits in perfectly. And yeah, I'm enjoying the act so far. I'm interested to see where it goes as it elevates, but right now we're in character establishing era. Will we see Bo wrestle? Or is he just going to stand there, maybe he'll wrestle when Matrix 4 comes out. As he stands there with his chainsaw.
God.
It's just, hopefully. I'm interested to see what his character is like given this presentation. But I'm all behind Xia Li right now. They don't need to, because Xia Li is so interesting. They can keep that up. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't really have much to add. I remember watching this stuff and just feeling like she needs to go on a win streak for a long time. So, she had lost to Casey and Caden. Now it's time to get that back and go from there. I don't know what her ceiling is, but it didn't even gets her up to the mid card women's division. That's a step up because she was the lowest prelim person that got regular TV time.
Yeah. I'm really happy to see the style of presentation for it, and I'm all in to see where it goes. Next up, Drake Maverick and Karrion Dane with their happy chipper little music versus Grizzled Young Veterans. And so Murray got me to do a Scouse accent on my Yakuza 0 stream on Twitch for one of the characters. So I've written it in my notes to do a Scouse accent for Zach Gibson. So I don't know. I'm now realised, oh god, it's 2:30 a.m. on a day I've been cleaning tile dust. Shit, why did I write this in? I haven't got a throat anymore. Right. Soon to be... No, it's not happening. I tried it. Soon to be recognised as number one. That's what you're getting. That's all right. I gave it a go. I've proof I have no throat left. It was not happening. Zach Gibson is amazing. You could tell by my attempted failed impression. I even looked up and to the left to give kind of like direction for the voice to be thrown. It still didn't work. But yeah. The reason I like Grizzled Young Veterans is, again, Zach Gibson is an absolute heat magnet and he's amazing. Again, the crowd won't be realistic until they start piping in the take your shoes off for Gibson, and if you hate Gibson, it's just none of those chants. Like when I watched Drake as well, as in it was during TakeOver, I realised, oh, he's got his own face on his arse. Oh, that was the tune. He's got his own face on his arse. That was one of my favourite ones from there. Gibson, there's so many great chants, and they don't pipe in any of them. It's just generic stuff. It's the only thing missing from them. Yeah, but yeah, I really like them as an act. To be fair, this is like establishing them as characters without the crowd participation. Let's say they can get away from that and just establish themselves right now. And like Grizzled Veterans out here with the heat after taking out MSK, and Zach Gibson was on the mic about bragging about injuring Wesley. I think he said he broke his hand, and I think Wesley is Desmond Xavier. Is that who Wesley is? Yes. NXT name generators just done me in here, as in, and then we saw the announced class of NXT people coming in, and I'm like, I've not got my head around MSK yet. Introducing this bulk of people, I am screwed. It's not going to happen. But yeah, Dane and Maverick catching the lads off guard with their unorthodox big and little dynamic. I did get a little laugh out of Zach Gibson calling them Shrek and Donkey. It's just because of the big and little dynamic. But that was before the strong teamwork isolated the smaller Drake for the ticket to Mayhem and got the win. And later in the show we did see Killian Dane carrying Donkey to the injury table where somebody... it was... I forgot his name.
Alexander Wolf.
Thank you, yeah. So Alexander Wolf approached them with his German accent, unless he's Austrian. It really irritates me. Walter's Austrian. But
yeah, I think Wolf is German.
Yeah, I think Wolf is actually German. Correct me on that, Mizzy. But yeah, I really like the dynamic of him saying, what happened to you? You used to be a monster. But at the same time, he blatantly cares for Maverick now. So it's like a kind of... like it's a little thing where you can see the internal conflict, where he genuinely cares, but he also... he feels like he might be losing a bit of respect by not being that monster. So yeah. That was that. Anyway, yeah, what do you make of Dana Maverick versus Grizzled and Veterans?
Good match. It was a good match outside of the stuff they normally do, where it's like the frenemy spots where it's like, I'm going to use my tag team partner as a weapon or whatever else. But once they got past that in the first couple minutes, like the match was actually good. It was just short, and that's one of the things that's like is irritating me with NXT lately is like the bell time is like so much less of a percentage of the show than it used to be. It feels like anyway. But anyway, like for what it was fun. And I did like the touch of Dane carrying Maverick into the trainers room, and then you see Eichner and Bartel walk by, like, and then all of a sudden, like, they pan the camera or actually pulling it tight to Dane, and then they zoom out and you see Wolf and he's like giving the sanity stuff, and they're like, what happened to you? I did like that. Like, I don't know where this is going. I don't necessarily want this to get like super emotional. What will Killian Dane do? As far as like, I really don't have any. I really do not care for him being in Imperium, if that were to be an option. But I did like that like character touch of like, yeah, this man has changed.
Yeah, it reminded me of something, and I've completely lost it because I started it led me on a tangent internally. Then I went on to the Dave Chappelle SNL episode where it kicks off Maya Rudolph just going, "But I'm Aunt Jemima." I was just laughing my head off inside my head, so I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. That's a very funny episode of SNL back from November. But why am I plugging Saturday Night Live? They don't need my plugs. But I'm kind of with you. it reminds me a bit of there's a Crash Bandicoot game where it's Crash Bandicoot and the villain Neo Cortex, and you played as both of them. But the point being that because they were enemies, they would use the other one as the weapon to kind of do stuff like that. And so that's the kind of frenemies part of it. But if they are going a bit more big man cares for little idiot kind of thing, then yeah, I can see. I mean, I'm quite interested to see the member sanity just kind of build off of that. As it's like, oh yeah, I do remember sanity, yes. And you can kind of use it. It's like, oh yeah, this world has continuity. I keep forgetting that. I keep forgetting because NXT's in the WWE bubble that it doesn't actually adhere to their non-continuity world on the main roster. Like, oh no, yeah, you do remember things and they do come back. And it's like, yeah, these characters do know each other. The commentators don't go. You don't have the commentators saying, oh my god, what's this move we've never seen before? Because they'll know the name of it and they'll just call the name of the move Excalibur. So yeah,
they don't do or end of an era between Triple H and Undertaker and pretend like WrestleMania 17 never happened.
Yeah, so no, yeah, it'd be brought up. It definitely happened. So we've got one more match to talk about, but there was a segment that was after the next match, but I'll talk about it now so that we don't end the show on it instead. We did get a promo from LA Knight, the former Eli Drake, with when's LA Knight going to debut promo from his car like a late 30s recent divorcee, and he's kind of got his red shades on with his red jacket in his car. James kind of breaks down of a little gag. I laughed at myself when I wrote it. But yeah, he's but as soon as I saw that promo, I was like, that's all I could think. That's all that's in my head.
The missus got the house. He's looking for a condo.
Yeah.
Sad shit.
Yeah, so that's not his character. I think he's meant to be showing off wealth, but I just read that as the wife took everything, didn't she? You got nothing but the car and your, I guess, combination of jackets and shades, because it was blue shirt, blue shades last week, red jacket, red shades this week. He's been allowed to keep all of his clothes, so he's got that. But she took the house, she took the dog, the kids, everything. He's not got anything. Again, that's not his character, but because of the way this promo went, that's all I took from it. He gave a whole Eli Drake, Stone Cold The Rock combination promo, as all of his promos are. It's weird that I do essentially like the character, but I can't not hear those influences when I'm watching him. As in, he doesn't feel his own man, weirdly, even though he has his own little quirks and things. I liked the dummy stuff in Impact with the button. that kind of, it was goofy, but I liked it. I don't think he'll carry that over. But I do like how they're having him get over his strongest aspect first. Like his mic game has always been pretty high, even if it does really strongly emulate others. It's his strongest asset. So having him introduce himself this way, I think, is the best way. Just, maybe don't accidentally emulate him as, just a late 30s guy who's just going through a tough time. That's not what his character's meant to be. This is, any comments on Eli Drake?
Eli Drake, I like him as a promo, obviously. The Rock stuff, the Austin stuff. I mean, there's also some flair that pops up from now and then, too, with him. But I think that, if we weren't all old guys watching wrestling, we wouldn't really recognize that as much, but it is what it is. But yeah, either way, he's a talented talker. I like his what's the word? Conviction as he delivers his words. So, I'm interested to see what he does. He's not some super worker, but obviously they have to find a story to put him into to get him some heat starting out, and then they'll go from there. But that's how I would do it. I wouldn't just have him go out there and say, "Yo, go impress us with your ring excellence." That's not what it is with him. You're gonna have to get him some heat first, and then get him some emotion for whatever match, big match you have him set up for. So I'm interested to see where who he ends up having a program with, or who he pisses off, or who he interrupts and gets into it with.
Yeah, exactly the same. That's a sign of a success in terms of introducing a character. Is interested to see how he arrives on the actual scene. It means they've done a good job to
Yeah.
actually create intrigue for what's going to happen. So decent stuff. Again, it's the second week, not really that much to talk about, but it's more like we are familiar with the guy. I've seen him before, know what he's all about. Again, interesting to see what he does in NXT. Right, we've got one more match to talk about as we end off this show, where I realise with the titles of these, I've always tried to I've been trying to keep the titles kind of like, oh, what's going to happen with this event? What's going to happen with this character? But this week was why I wanted to call it Why Sting Why. Last week was 3 Men and a Baby. I think I've fallen off the horse a bit. Just going off with what comedic thing can I call it this week, which will give absolutely no hint to what I'm meant to be talking about. It's just at least on the image now, I've got if anyone needs a little PNG, little Adam Cole, I've got one now. Just if you need a little Adam Cole, for whatever reason. Anyway, tangent alert. Let's go to the final match to talk about. No disqualification. Parking lots are dangerous. It's Karrion Kross versus Santos Escobar, and this was billed as no disqualification. And throughout the night, you saw William Regal getting frustrated that Santos Escobar still had not rocked up. And obviously you got Karrion Kross kind of building to it. I did like how they subverted us with Karrion Kross's entrance starting, as we saw the Phantasma lads guarding an SUV in the split screen. I did like that. However, Kross was outside as well. He subverted us. He wasn't in the ring. But Santos was using law. He wasn't in the car. It was a genius move from him. But yes, parking lots are dangerous. And not even Karrion fighting back with your everyday parking lot pickaxe. He could not stop the I can't remember the name. Phantasma guys. He could not stop the Phantasma men from winning their ambush. It's like, no wonder that place is so dangerous. It's like the underneath of a wrestling ring. Why is there a pickaxe in this parking lot? What is going on? It was a cool missed spot kind of thing. But the plan to beat down the bold lad all the way to the ring and then pin him with the numbers game. But it was building to an almighty Kross comeback, who first off launched Escobar's men through the barricade, just threw it and knocked it right down. The numbers game eventually catching up again, allowing the Cruiserweight champion to violently dismantle Kross. But be careful when the end is near. That's his catchphrase. I got it in. Escobar reaping what he sowed, paying for his sins, paying the toll troll as Kross tears him a new hole. I got in my Billy reference. Saito suplex through the announce desk. That charging forearm to the back of the head, calling the end. Kross came off like a beast, following this a killer, if you will. Absolutely loved it, and I'm keeping talking just for a minute so James can recover. But yeah, I absolutely loved this match. It was an absolute brawl in the parking lot, and then when it came into the ringside kind of area, I was like, oh, this might go a certain way, it might slow down a bit and then kind of burst to life. But Santos Escobar's offense was violent enough that it worked. And Karrion Kross's comeback made him seem like an absolute beast. So yes. All right, you're back in the room, James.
Okay, so I like this match. I think more people like the match than me. I thought the first half it was better than the second half. There are things in this match, obviously 3-on-1, like the stuff, the stuff you have to let slide. That the guy can beat 3 guys is whatever. But it was funny to me when. Have you ever played a video game Metal Gear Solid?
Yep. Yeah.
You remember the sentries that were the security detail is going around the Shadow Moses Island. You can see in the map that you can see their vision is on 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
Or 90-degree angle, or whatever. So when Kross basically walked perpendicular up on them, and then all of a sudden the last thing it was like, dude, I'm a human being that can see basically 180 degrees, have that kind of field of vision. It was like, what is this, right? So that made me laugh, but once they started doing 3-on-1 spots and the monster power ups and Some of the arm stuff or shoulder stuff that they did with Cross's, shoulder that got popped out during his match with Keith Lee. Like, I got into it and liked it. I did like the spot where he threw he threw Mendoza and Wild through the plexiglass. But ultimately once they got in the ring, it was just kind of I did like the part where like Phantasma is he's such an egomaniac that it's like he has the advantage and it's a no DQ match, but like he'll just beat up on a guy when he has the advantage because he has the advantage, and like only when things go wrong, like the other two will jump in. I did like that because he's such a narcissist. But it's just like, okay, I'm straining my credulity enough for this 3-on-1 match or whatever else. But at the end, I kind of wish that the finish had ended on the Saito suplex. On the bottom half of the steps on through the table, as opposed to he does it, then lifts up the carcass and then bring him in and hits the lesser impactful move on the mat and then finishes him. Like, they should have just made it, in my opinion, they probably made off just making it falls kind of anywhere. It'd been more effective with the visual of them outside the ring as he's standing over this dude with all this massacre, all this like wreckage of this table and the stairs. Like, I think that would have been a cooler way to end the show, but whatever. That's me nitpicking, but it was a very enjoyable match.
Yeah, for me, the moment I realised I was really enjoying it was that Saito suplex, and it's just like it built really well to that point, and he hit his finisher in the ring because he hit your finisher in the ring, and that's how you end the match. I am totally with you. It's the it's the school of that's how you do it, compared to, well, I hit a move impactful enough that got a big enough reaction that we should just end there, type of thing. And that's what I thought the announced next spot was. It's like that was the peak of the match, and then it's just a formality to hit the forearm because you're getting the finisher move over for whoever he's facing at the next takeover. Or the one after that. I don't know what's happening with Kross. he's kind of they're trying out the character in a more babyface role, I guess, which that's in terms of testing stuff out. NXT's the ground, I guess.
He's still, the thing is, he's still a heel. He just fought a dude that's the problem with a lot of NXT is like they have such a lack of top baby faces now, to where like what they do now is have or they have a lack of top baby faces, so like only thing they really have are tweeners. So then you basically have heels or tweeners or heels versus heels, and the person that acts more like a jerk is the heel in the match. Like that's kind of a problem.
Yeah, that's a point. Yeah. Like, I was like, when I'm trying to think, who does Kross face? I was like, is it Ciampa again? I can't think of anybody that he could face.
Is it Ciampa? Or is it Thatcher, another heel? Or is it, like, Adam Cole? Or is it Finn Balor, who's a tweener? Or is it, Johnny Gargano? It's like, you look at that whole... And it's kind of has happened where, like, the NXT title picture is more or less like the guy, like the senior circuit, or like the upperclassmen, and then like the people that have been around for like less than 2 years or 2 years or less, or like that is like the North American title picture. Like you get Bronson Reed, Swerve, Kushida, like that kind of thing. Like there's clearly like levels to this, and like it pretty much comes down to like, were you on a takeover in 2018 or not? Unless you're Kross, because look at Kross, of course that guy can be in the senior circuit.
Yeah. It felt like if they, like, I was going to say Punishment Martinez again, but yeah, Damian Priest and Keith Lee, I feel like if they had stayed in NXT, they would have entered that, because Keith Lee was champion. But again, screaming main roster bound, so obviously you wouldn't.
Riddle
Riddle's another one, that's the point, yeah.
If Riddle hadn't been somebody that should be on TV, turned out. But yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one where I feel like in terms of that depth, they've got to make changes in a way. They've got them lower down in a way. Like Bronson Reed is one in the making. He's not there yet at all, though. Yeah. Again, I really like the guy. He again, one of those names before WWE that I was impressed by. They signed him. I was like, oh, this is great to see how he does here. And he's impressed me in NXT as well. It's just it's just time. I reckon he's one of those guys that will get there. This is obviously others ahead of him in the queue, or haven't left the queue. They're still there. He's one of those guys. Like, I felt like he and Swerve are kind of they're of a generation where how are they going to get through to that like next level in NXT? Just because the one before them hasn't left, they've stayed. So where are they going to go? Develop their characters and leave, but where are they going to go in NXT?
Right. And when I get frustrated in NXT, or when I've gotten frustrated in NXT over like the last let's say half year, like when Kross has a stinker with Keith Lee in the final, or sorry, in the main event of In Your House, and like he's a champion, and then it's like, wow, like he was here for 2 months, he's a champion, what the hell? It's like you see someone like a Swerve, or even someone like, we mentioned Riddle and Keith Lee, like they came in like in 2000, like the summer 2018 or the fall 2018, and they didn't really start getting going until like the beginning of or the very end of 2019 / beginning of 2020. And it's like, why does it take this long? Like you can throw like you'll gladly throw them in matches, let them have 4-star matches on Takeover. Like why can't you get them elevated like in in a way that like you look at Ricochet, and like Ricochet was like almost like night one he was main event material. Like we've seen you do this. Why did this change all of a sudden in the span of a year? It's weird. And when I get frustrated, I think of like it's because they're not able to cycle out of the Garganos, the Ciampas, the Undisputed Era, the Finn Balor coming back, Charlotte coming back. And it's like it's a glut. And I don't, the best thing they're doing right now is the Undisputed Era breakup thing with Finn Balor involved. Like, but at the same time, it's like, when is Swerve someone that has shown improved every single time he's been in the ring with a Roderick Strong, with a Gargano, all these other people? When is it going to be his turn to, quote unquote, add to the legacy of NXT? And it's like, nah, he's just basically like doing this thing with Leon Ruff.
That's why I'm interested in this next year, where I feel like in these first 2 months they've really addressed a lot of the issues I had with them last year, which is great to see. But over the course of this year, I feel like that's going to be an absolutely major one, is how did they address that? Because again, there was like main roster people asking if they could go back down to NXT, and some being granted. But in terms of what NXT is that actually a good thing? Or will NXT evolve, maybe solve a few of those issues? Where
I think it could potentially be a good thing if they didn't have like this thing to where like Finn Balor just cannot be pinned, right? Like Charlotte just cannot do a job. Like if it was a situation where like they claim it's a third brand, and if they actually did treat like a third brand outside of one night, that Survivor Series 2019, like if they actually treated where like you come here, you are here, you're going to win and you're going to lose, and you are going to help get people over, and you're going to have matches that you used to have, or better matches you were having on the main roster, fine. But like that's not just it. Like Finn Balor's having like his best run that NXT's ever had, especially compared to his first run. But like at the same time, like when he came in and he beat Riddle, who at the time we didn't know about what we know about Riddle at the time. Like when he beat Riddle, was like, what the hell is this? Like then he beat Johnny, and you're like, well, what's going on here? And now he's a champion. He is one of the very best things on the show now. But it's like, it was an adjustment. It's like, okay, so like he's not actually going to be a part of this thing. He's just really just a main roster guy being protected and not doing jobs on with the rest of these guys that are supposed to be like this next crop of talent. And I felt like that was stagnating the roster. And now it's like even more, because like Johnny is NXT for life, Undisputed Era. Who knows when the hell they, what the hell they do? I think they're just gonna be NXT for life as well. And it's like Ciampa, I'll retire if you send me to the main roster. So they have to figure out how to have that utilize that class to get over the next batch of people, and then like after that point, like you got to start cycling these dudes out of every other takeover to make room for the new guys.
Yeah, it's an interesting. And I will say the women's division, I feel like in the second half of 2020, as they've really got to see them kind of grow and move into this current era. And like seeing Bianca Belair, yes, it sucks seeing Bianca Belair leave and do nothing on the main roster until like the second half, or maybe like the final quarter of the year when she went on to SmackDown. And in terms of like Rhea Ripley as well, where again she's not been on NXT ever since the big match against Raquel Gonzalez. And she's at the Rumble, nothing, and like a month later gets a single coming soon promo on Raw, and that may be another sign of, do they actually have any plans for her? But they are hyping her. But that means there's suddenly spaces and there's room available for people to move into, and that's what the main roster doesn't have. We've seen Keith Lee move up. We've seen, I was going to say Punishment. We've seen this again, eventually. I remember Damian Priest. We did the whole DP thing. Surely that's memorable enough. Surely. So, yeah. But yeah, I feel a lot more positive about NXT now than I was even just 2 months ago. At the end of year, we're looking back over it. I feel like they're moving into the future quite well, addressing issues seemingly every month, and
MSK is a breath of fresh air. Like the tag team classic, women's and men's both did a lot of favors because that's one of the best things they've done at NXT over the years, especially 2019 was just incredible, that first round. But as far as being able to stabilize them to where they can get a chance to breathe and figure out where they want to go and book a tournament to give directions to spring off of it, and then just have really good matches. It's just one of those things where it's that's not really normal television booking, but it's just book a tournament or book 2 tournaments and then set it forward and then go from there. And now we're at the point to where we're past that, and now we get to see where they, now that they've had, was it a month or whatever else to figure it out from there. Now let's see what they're implementing. And I really like what they did with the breakup thing, that angle with on this show. So, I would like to know what the hell Karrion Kross is going to do when he's not in the title picture, because they immediately made that the thing when he was on before. But and it was goofy that the dude that's former NXT champion now fighting this cruiserweight. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Also, Murray, as we start to sign off now and drift away into the night, Murray just saying, send the Tiny Adam Cole to his DMs for no reason. Tiny Adam Cole. It's little Adam Cole. He's so small. Anyway, thank you to James for doing this show with me. For me, right in slap bang in the middle of darkness. For James, it's going to be darkness for James now as well. So yes, thank you as always for joining me, James. Do you want to plug all of your stuff?
You can find me on Twitter at JamesBoyd87. You can also find our podcast, One Nation Radio, at One Nation Radio. And that's part of the Social Suplex Podcast Network, so you can go and follow at Social Suplex.
And I will be back on Tuesday for the Monday Night Raw review. Again, still working on possibly getting SmackDown. But the reason I was talking about tile dust, the house isn't ready. I've got the area allocated for it. It's just full of crap. The computer is by the side of my bed, not in use, and on top of it is a bag of footballs, because my brother does football training as for kids. So we have a bag of footballs. We needed somewhere to put it. There's space, I guess, on top of my computer. I guess a not plugged in computer at the side of my bed, that can work as a football stand, right? That's what makes sense. But yeah, so again, but that's why I can't do SmackDown as well. During the day, not feasible. I'm in a kitchen right now. Not feasible in the middle of a Saturday. It's just not going to happen. But in terms of, I guess, extra stuff, Twitch, which is the implications with the second S. And you can catch me there. I've not been able to do it this week because there was a builder in the house drilling and stuff when I would be live. So again, somebody created the tile dust. So I won't be able to do that. And in terms of Aftershocks, I think I've got a week off, and then next week it's AW Revolution. So last year's show was an absolute banger. It was the last great show before everything went to crap, and it's really weird to think back on and how fantastic, how looking forward I was to how AW would do stuff with crowds after they gave everybody lighting up bracelets and things that looked amazing on camera, and they all lit up differently for the different wrestlers as they came out. I was like, oh, that looked great.
How many weeks away were we from Blood and Guts? Was that the next week or 2 weeks away?
It was that window. It was that kind of window. It was 1 or 2 weeks. Yeah. It might have even been next when things were getting bad. It was well, are they going to do this? Is this going to be the final thing? Maybe.
In America, March 11th was the day when it was shut this down. The second Rudy Gobert for the All-Star Center for the Utah Jazz tested positive, They were like, "Oh, shut this," and they were like, "Shut this shit down."
Mm.
And like everybody, and basically like that happened. Like the rest of this country more or less like started to actually take this. Well, I wouldn't say started to take it serious. We still haven't taken it serious, but like started to actually like give a damn, half of a damn.
Yeah, but yes, AEW Evolution is not this. Is it next Sunday? It's not even on. Is it on a Saturday? Because I know it got moved.
It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday. Yeah,
it's the same. It's the same day as the NBA All Star Game. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it's next Sunday, not this Sunday. So, but yeah, I'll be live with Aftershock for AEW Evolution. I might be joined by a gentleman of the Kingdom of Honor podcast. I've yet to ask him. That's I'm doing some James Boyd last minute. It's like, hey James, will we do NXT tomorrow? Okay, right, yes. see you tomorrow, I guess. Yeah, I need to actually hit him up before then. So yes, that is what is coming up. Also follow me on Twitter at the Damn Implicatless Damn. Damn! Oh, see, throat's gone. It's not happening. It's not happening today. Farouk, he needs a drink. My Farouk needs a drink. It's not happening. Anyway, so with that, I say thank you for listening, liking, watching, engaging. 5-star reviewing if you're listening to the podcast thing. Clicking the bell if it's on YouTube so you can get the notifications whenever we go live. Any kind of engagement. Clicking an emoticon on the Wrestling Headlines page. It all counts. It all helps. Every slide. No one clicks those emoticons, but they're there. Yeah. Mostly it's really emotional people towards it. It's like, oh god, this is silly. They're the people who use emoticons. Hardly anyone does. So with that, I bid you adieu, and James bids you
later.
Works perfectly for the podcast version. With a nice gap, and then later. Video version. You saw him make a hand signal. It was fine. It went fine. Anyway, ta-ra.